Welcome to Sales Bytes by Journey, where we talk about everything you need to know to be a killer at sales. I'm your host, Will Jenkins. Let's get it.
Today's episode is brought to you by Revinova. Revinova solves the transportation management challenges facing 3PLs, freight brokers, carriers, and shippers with multimodal TMS solutions powered by the #1 CRM platform, Salesforce.com. Serving the logistics industry since 2014, Revinova TMS customers benefit from increased sales velocity, improved service quality, higher employee productivity, and lower IT costs. Hello and welcome to Sales Bytes by Journey. My name is Will Jenkins, your host, and today I'm joined by the legendary Kyle Richards, VP of Sales at CloneOps. Kyle, how's it going?
It's going well. Happy to be here today. Excited to talk to you and tell the story.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to digging in a little bit. It's been really cool to see your career and also get to know you over the last few years, man. But for those that may not be familiar with the background, we'll do two things here real quick. Fun fact, and then a 10,000 foot overview of your background, and then we'll dive into our sales bites.
Yeah, so fun fact being, I don't have many fun facts. I think it's unique, but I mean, I would say that probably I'm addicted to sour candy. I've got a sweet tooth that was I grew up eating a lot of sweets and everything like that. And anyone that knows me, I'm a candy fanatic, and I just think that's probably the funny thing about me. So,
Dude, I'll make sure to keep the Sour Patch Kids away from you the next conference.
That's actually my favorite.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'll go through a whole bag of those in one sitting there too. So we try to keep candy out the house, but it's very hard.
Oh man, fair enough, dude. Well, I'll make sure to keep you safe when I see you. So I'm familiar with your background, man, but would you mind giving me like a pass over of what you've been up to before you got to CloneOps, just to familiarize ourselves a little bit with what you've been doing from a sales capacity?
Yeah, I started probably 16 years ago. Their job market was a little bit different then. I graduated from Georgia Southern University in 2009, and it was just coming off the recession that we had. So honestly, I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I majored in business management. I had, explored kind of going into restaurant and hotels, and took a job down at Ruby Tuesday in Statesboro during college, and quickly realized that I probably didn't want to be in the restaurant industry there. So by happenstance, I kind of fell into a freight gig, and it was, before I'd really heard much about logistics, but happened to find an advertisement on Craigslist of all places where for people watching, it was probably it was kind of like a job board, but it was like the Facebook marketplace back in the day. And I think since then it's a little bit sketchier now, but I saw this posting for Nolan Transportation Group, and they were hiring a logistics coordinator. No idea what it meant. Just kind of fell into it, got started there in a sales role, tiny brokerage at the time. I think I was like employee number 10 or 12, something there. And that kind of started the career. From there, I was with Nolan for about 10 years, moved into management after probably 3 or 4 of those years, opened an office, and got to work alongside our offices as well too in the sales and operations, and got an opportunity to move over to the insurance side of the business. So it was an insurance agency that was writing truck insurance, and it was a little switch up from the pace of that. Insurance is a little bit slower, but still very kind of mindful of a sales process and the customer service along with that, and managing the policies and things like that. So I was at that agency for about 6 years prior to joining CloneOps, and got wind of the kind of AI on the horizon for the logistics space, and was familiar last fall with what CloneOps and David Bell were doing here, and kind of got an opportunity in the spring to join the team to help run the sales team here, and rest is history.
Mind just running me through what CloneOps does and most of what you all are serving in the market?
Yeah, so CloneOps in short is a communication platform, and what we do is build custom agents that can set out to handle task specific or duty specific jobs. So you take, for instance, tracking and tracing, carrier sales duties is kind of a lot where we've gravitated towards, just because of the volume of calls, the number of transactions that you go through, and our platform can connect to any system, any TMS, any CRM, and you basically can feed information into the agents that it can use during conversation and can perform actionable kind of requests or provide actionable kind of insights into whether it's a load from booking a load or a specific function of the load life cycle to handling it end to end there too. So
Nice.
the big thing that we've kind of leaned into is the customization that our platform allows. It can sit on top of your TMS, run in the background with little to no interference from a human, and just send results, or it can sit side by side on a rep's dashboard and really kind of live day to day within it there too. But yeah, super helpful. I look at some of these tools that these brokers and carrier sales teams are getting, and I'd be excited about this stuff because it's
awesome,
it's crazy what it can do.
Yeah, it's a game changer from an efficiency perspective, and there's a lot of very interesting things you all are able to do to help the teams work more effectively and be able to spend more time on some revenue generating opportunities that help them move the business.
The stuff
forward.
That matters. You want to be in contact. I mean, like we said in the beginning, everything's around relationships, and the more time that you can spend building that relationship and not doing a task is more beneficial to that person and the company.
How early at CloneOps would you say hire number one, hire number 10? Really, really, really early.
I think, they had because they started building the platform. So they had the kind of engineer team all kind of built out there. But I guess the end of February is when I officially joined. And I think the first actual employee, I would say. Yeah. So, and I think that's when we got connected. I'd been familiar with what you were doing at Journey, before that, but you were helping Dave get everything off the ground, which was awesome to see. So, got to shake it up with you for a couple months there as we got stuff rolling.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, again, appreciate you being on here for Sales Bytes today. We're going to dive in and talk about selling to execs. So I know that it's a lot different than, maybe talking to a transportation manager or someone on the fleet side, a little bit different of a process. So mind walking us through a few things you think about as you're selling to execs?
Yeah, I try not to look at it as selling. Like I know myself, I don't want to be sold. Like I either need the product or the service or I don't. There's no way that you're going to convince me that I need it, right? I'm not going. I think it's you don't want to get caught up that, hey, I'm going door to door, man. I'm trying to get the cheesy kind of car salesman pitch to them, and I've got the Jordan Belfort script that I'm going to sit here and kind of just replicate. And how many calls can I make? You want to make connections. You want to have conversations. A lot of trying to match up timelines and things like that. It's always, you want to have stuff in the pipeline, but you want to be real with, people want to buy from someone that's real. Like I said, if you don't have that relationship, you have to establish that relationship. You got to kind of foster it there too. So I think anyone can kind of read through the lines of being sold there too. So, I think people want to deal with like-minded people, people that have been in the industry. Having industry experience is huge. You've sat in those seats. You've walked in those shoes is a big story to pitch there too. You understand where the pain points are. You can quickly identify, kind of some of the needs or what you would have liked in that situation there too. But yeah, I think just being able to build that relationship with people, and in time, they'll come to decision. Either you're the right partner or you're not. And sometimes you got to deal, like in any sales role, right? You're going to deal with rejection and things like that. And whether it's timing or not a great product fit, or, you lost out to a competitor or something like that, you're always going to have that. But I think, the ones that want to enter into the partnership, I think they want to do business with who they want to do business with. So you got to be real with these people. You got to shoot them straight. And I think, the overall theme and message that I'll keep coming back to is always, I'm going to say, and now I'm going to mess it up. Under promise and over deliver. Yeah. Don't be real with these people. Under promise, over deliver. If it's not something that has the current capabilities of doing, what's the timeline behind that, or when are you going to get the functionality to kind of do that, and being real with them and laying that out and putting that on the roadmap for them there too. But I was
going to say, one thing I took a note on that I really like is that, people typically know if a product is a fit for them. Obviously it is up to us as sales professionals to provide value and talk about use cases and whatnot, but you're not going to be a pushy seller and get that exec to buy from you, right? They're going to buy from you because they see you as an expert, and there's also a need in the business. And so I respect that a ton, because you're going to have conversations today that may not lead to sales for maybe 12 or 18 months from now. But if you're too pushy, you are not going to get that sale
out the door. You got to get at the point. The only part of the sales process that is really salesy is just getting the contract done. I mean, because they're trying to keep budget down, they're trying to keep costs down, and they know you as a sales rep, you're trying to maximize contract value and stuff like that. But it's being fair, understanding that, hey, if they're going to let it get to that point, I know this person's going to take good care of me. They're going to be fair. They're going to be open. They're going to be transparent. I mean, I think that's the other thing, is just transparency. Being upfront, being real with these, with the individuals and executives that you're dealing with, is shoot them straight. If you can do something, do it. If you can't, tell them why. They'll understand. Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about the buying committee when you're selling to execs, right? For what you're selling, you're certainly engaging with a lot of CTOs. You're certainly engaging with the highest level carrier leader or operations leader to an extent, but it's typically more than just one person. So how do you navigate that sales process? It's complex.
It is, and it's identifying kind of who is going to head up that committee. I think they typically always task one or two, three individuals with kind of going out, either through a relationship or connection, like, hey, we need to look at this piece of software for this reason, or hey, we're in general just trying to look at the market or something. But typically, you're dealing with one or two, three individuals that kind of help kick off that I guess you'd call it their prospecting for a solution out there too. So depending on who you're dealing with, there's, like I said, there's different needs that you need to kind of be able to deliver and understand, most people on, that are managing the floor and that are kind of more into the day to day with the reps. It's going to be a lot different conversation on what they're trying to get as the outcome versus somebody that might be on like the IT team, infrastructure kind of technology team as well too. They might see a vision that's a little bit different than what's realistic, what can be accomplished, fully. I think that's the biggest thing with people that are so involved with the day to day. It's hard to step back and try to picture something, not, a whole workflow being redesigned through technology when, well, we've been doing it and kicking butt on these KPIs this way. Like, why would I introduce something and upset some of my, reps? Like, I think they're a lot more worried about the culture kind of hit, on that versus like the efficiency gain on there too. So understanding those different personas and making sure that you have a solution that either person would be comfortable with as well too. It's just understanding, knowing how to connect with the different, personalities as well too. Some people might want to be wined and dined. They might want to be taken out. They want to get to know you. They want to go. Others won't show their face on camera. And it's hard to get a read on the people that are like that, or they don't ever want to take phone calls. They want to communicate on emails. Whereas the other people, they want you in the office. They want to see you. They want to they want to shake your hand. They want to get to know you before they even have discussions with that too. So I prefer any type of communication. I love meeting. I love mingling with people. I think that's one thing throughout my career that I've always enjoyed is being around, helping people. I don't really, picture myself as like a salesman. I don't go around selling. I try to help people with whatever the product service that I happen to be, working for at the time. It's been freight brokerage, it's been insurance, and now it's, tech sales. And I joined these companies because I believe in them. I believe in what they're selling and the product that they're offering. And, I'm grinding every day to make sure I can put as much as myself into that, because I know that reflects on me. But at the end of the day, it's building relationships. That's important to me. I've come across coming back into where, mainly a huge focus that we've had is the brokerage space there too. Like I'm reconnecting with people that I dealt with 10, 12 years ago that, at the time I didn't really think anything of it, but, reconnecting and seeing how their careers have evolved and still, we always have that our hat to hang, working at the same company, or we were, same kind of career kind of, at that time, being able to come back and circle back to it. It's come full circle, and, relationships matter. make sure, don't be short-sighted with things. But that's just something I've always enjoyed doing. But
Yeah.
meet as many people as I can, and want to talk to and build as many relationships as I can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one thing that I have noticed selling to executives is that being honest and transparent is extremely important, especially during the discovery phase. I'm not saying that that is also not the case in brokerage. I think those same types of things matter. But when you can tell people we do this very well, and this is not within our expertise today, I think it goes a long way. So have you noticed that as you're selling to execs and opening up opportunities?
Absolutely. I mean, I think they're execs for a reason. They can read through. I mean, they've been trained. They've probably been interviewing and hiring for teams and managerial level. Like, they can tell when people aren't real, and they can kind of sift through the BS, that comes across their table every day, whether it's, dealing with internal issues or external issues. So definitely think you got to be a straight shooter. And, if it's something you're not quite sure of, like, best answer is always, I'll get back to you. I'm not going to try to make something up on the phone and just have the magical, sales, potion on them there too. If I don't know something, hell, I'm gonna figure it out. I probably, you're asking, I should know it there too. So let me get you an accurate answer on things like that. But yeah, got to be real. Got to be a straight shooter. Some people like it, to be more direct with them too. Some people, there's, little white lies that won't hurt a little bit there too. So it's all about the messaging and that. But I think at the end of it, the core of it is, are you who you say you are, and
Yeah.
is what you're selling what it is,
Totally. So if I were a new seller that had never sold to execs, do you have one or two tips that you think are helpful for my first couple of months or my first year as I start to reach out to executive level buyers?
Be patient. Be patient and make sure you're exhausting all methods of communication there too. I think, some people get frustrated. I shot them a LinkedIn message. They never responded back. Like, well, there's probably 300 people that are doing that, right? What's the angle that you're taking? How can we make contact versus just, hey, I sent out an email, made a call, and they didn't answer. They told me to bugger off or something like that. So be patient with it. Stay in the loop with messaging too. Try to find a message that resonates to these people. Like I said, you're not going to convince them to buy something that they don't need, right? So it's understanding what it is that they need. What's, are there open job postings for a role that CloneOps can solve for? We've got an agent to do that, right? Hey, that's a direct line to cost saving. Hey, do they have offshore nearshoring departments that are handling this? Hey, we got agents, that might relate to them. That's real talk. But also to making sure, if you're getting into this, you got to have somewhat of a network or some framework of a network, or the ability to kind of build that network, from within. That's where I think it's most important. Going to cold connections and just trying to sell them and bebop through and make as many of those as you can. It's going to be tough sledding, but you got to be patient. You got to hit these conferences too, which is also something I didn't realize how big the conferences play into it. Into this world, but it's so important to be out there, as much as we're trying to push, in a digital landscape, old face-to-face meet and greet, cutting back, being able to have a drink with them and talk about anything other than their job, talk about their family, their personal life and stuff like that. That goes a long way too. So I think people care for that still.
You mentioned typically they're going to know whether or not the product is a need. And so you don't want to be overly salesy. I think that's a really good point. Making connections and being someone that's real and transparent is very, very important. And you also want to underpromise and overdeliver, not the reverse. That's a very, very big problem.
Be careful with that. I've tripped up a few times with that.
Yeah, totally. Transparency matters. Make sure that you understand who is in the buying committee and who's heading that up. And then these people can sift through the BS, right? So you don't want to present things that are not necessarily within scope for what you all can execute. Be patient as you're selling to execs. And then multi-channel sales matters because there are going to be multiple different ways to get in front of people. They're probably getting hit up by a lot of different sales reps across different channels. And so finding ways to be unique is important. And then also get in front of them at conferences. Very important for the face-to-face time.
It's spend time in their office too. I don't think it's just limited to the conference. The conference is just a great kind of central meeting point where, everyone's kind of committed their time to that. But I think also for what we're doing is, having that FaceTime, whether it's offsite, at dinner or at their office, and truly understanding like workflows and their operation, and really taking the time to sit and understand how your software, your technology kind of fits into their organization is huge. So if they give you the time of day to sit down and understand that, you might at the end of the day looking like, hey, this is not a great fit. Like there's a couple things that you guys need to do to get the house in order and be a much better fit down the road. I'm happy to consult and help on that. But yeah, getting in and seeing the real picture of what you're really dealing with is also a big thing. And I think just, always trying to be persistent, but not pushy.
Yeah.
The squeaky wheel definitely gets the grease, but it could also, these people and executives, they're busy. They've got their own KPIs and metrics that they need to hit on too. So don't bog them down with emails, phone calls. Be able to read the room. What's the right amount of communication? Not just sending them a generic email every day or have them on a cadence. That's just some generic kind of marketing material there too. So
totally. Well, Kyle, this has been incredible. I really appreciate all the sales bites that you dropped, man. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.